Hello students, now let us look at the topic called PGP. What is PGP? PGP stands for Pretty Good Privacy. It is an email security protocol. So now let us get into the topics. The email security. So nowadays we know email is one of the most widely used network services, and currently the messages are not secure. Sometimes the message could be inspected when it is in transmission, or if there is any privileged user on the destination system also, they'll be able to view the mail contents. So what could be the various email security enhancements? So we know there are various network services like confidentiality, authentication, message integrity, and non-repudiation. So confidentiality means protection from disclosure. Then authentication means to validate the sender of the message. Message integrity means protection from modification, and non-repudiation means protection from denial by the sender. So coming to PGP. PGP is widely used to secure emails, and it was developed by Phil Zimmermann, who has used the best cryptographic algorithms to develop this PGP software. So PGP is a platform independent software, and originally it was open source, but the commercial versions are also available now. So what are the services offered by PGP? So PGP offers authentication, confidentiality, compression, email compatibility, and segmentation. So first, let us look at PGP operation authentication. So how PGP supports authentication? So first, the sender will be creating a message of an email. Then they'll be using SHA-1 to generate a 160-bit hash of the message. And then the signed hash with RSA using the sender's private key, and this will be attached to the message. So the receiver will be using RSA with the sender's public key to decrypt, and then they will recover the hash code. So the receiver will be verifying the received message using hash of it, and then he will compare it with the decrypted hash code. Now let us look at the diagrammatic representation of this. So first let us look at the authentication only. So first the message is generated, then the hash of the message will be generated. Then using the private key of the sender, the message will be encrypted, and this message along with the encrypted will be concatenated, and then it is compressed and forwarded to the destination. So at the destination, the message will be uncompressed, and then using the public key of the sender, you decrypt and you get the message. So from the original message, you take the hash and you have to compare both the hashes. So if both are matching, we can validate that the message is correct. Okay, so that's what is stated here in this authentication. Now let us look at the confidentiality. So confidentiality, the sender will be generating the message and a 128-bit random number as a session key for it. So first we'll be encrypting the message either using any of the algorithms with the session key, and the session key will be encrypted using RSA with the recipient public key. And then we'll attach it to the message. So let us look at the diagram. So with the recipient public key. So we have the message. Okay, then there will be a session key that is generated. So using B means it is the receiver. So using the public key of the receiver, we encrypt the session key, and this will be appended and forwarded to the receiver side. So receiver side, so first the message will be decrypted using the private key of the receiver. So this along with the message, this is called as your symmetric decryption. So after the decryption, you'll be comparing both the hashes, and then you uncompress the message to get back your original message. So the receiver uses RSA with the private key to decrypt and recover the session key. The session key is then used to decrypt the message. So that is what it is stated here. So DC. So EC means it is a symmetric encryption. So using the session key, you do the encryption. And here using the session key, we decrypt the message. Okay. So the next one is called as confidentiality and authentication. So here we are combining both the services on the same message. So first you create the signature, attach it to the message, and then you encrypt both the message and the signature. So either you can use RSA or LGML encrypted session key. So now let us look at the diagram. So first you have the message. So for the message, you take the hash of the message, which is nothing but combining both these into a single diagram. So it is encrypted using the private key of the sender. So EP is nothing but your public key encryption. Okay. So again, this message hash should be appended here. Then you compress the message. Then a session key will be used to do the encryption. So we are using the recipient public key to do the encryption of the session key. So these both will be concatenated and forwarded to the recipient at the receiver side. So first you have to decrypt using the private key of the recipient, and then the session key will be used to decrypt the message. So then there will be an uncompression that is happening. Then you to get back the original message. So the message is having the hash of the message. Okay. So then you have to decrypt using the public key of A. So you get one hash here. So from the message also you take the hash. So you compare both the hashes. If both the hashes are matching, then we can say the message is authentic and also confidential. So this is how the working of the PGP will happen. So the next PGP operation is compression. So by default, the PGP will be compressing a message after signing but before encrypting. So it basically uses a zip compression algorithm to do the compression. So email compatibility. So whenever we are using PGP, it will be sending, it will be having binary data to send. So however, when email was designed, it was designed only for the text data. So what we have to do? So PGP must encode the raw binary data into printable ASCII characters. So for doing this conversion, they are using an algorithm called as your Radix64 algorithm. Radix64 algorithm, what it will do? It will be converting the 3 bytes to 4 printable characters. So by doing so, we'll be able to achieve this. And also it happens a CRC. So CRC is nothing but your cyclic redundancy check. And also PGP can do segmentation if the message is too big. So coming to PGP session keys. So PGP supports 4 types of keys. One is called as your one-time session symmetry key. It also has public key, it has private key, and also it has passphrase based symmetric keys. So why it needs a session key? The session key could be of varying sizes, like it could be a 56-bit DES, a 128-bit cast or IDEO, or we can also use a 168-bit triple DES. So it is generated using the ANSI X 12.17 mode. It uses random inputs taken from previous uses and from the keystroke timing of the user. So then PGP public and private keys. Since many public or private keys may be used in use, so we need to identify which is actually used to encrypt the session key in a message. So in order to identify that, we are using something called as a key ID. A key ID is nothing but a least significant 64-bit of the key is used, and it will be locally unique in a user key pool. Also, we can use this key ID in the signatures that are being generated in PGP. So this is the message flow or the message format will look like. So first we have the message. On top of the message, we have the signature, and then we have the session key. So in the message, basically we have our data, we have the timestamp, and then we have the file name. So message is nothing but it is our original data that we need to transmit. Okay. Then the signature. So signature basically it will be encrypted using the private key of the sender. So the signature basically consists of the message digest leading to octets of the message digest. It will also have the key ID of the sender's public key, and then we have the timestamp. So what is the use of this signature? The signature basically it is used to for authentication, integrity, and non-repudiation. For these three things, we basically use the signature part. Okay, so this message along with the signature, just we are using the compression algorithm, and here we are also encrypting using the session key. Then the session key component, so basically we are encrypting using the public key of the receiver. So in the session key component, we are having the session key and also key ID of the recipient's public key. So this entire thing will be using a Radix 64 conversion. Okay. So what is the purpose of this session key? The purpose of the session key is only the receiver can decrypt the message, and also it supports confidentiality. So that is the main reason behind this session key component. So now coming to the next topic, that is called as your PGP key rings. So each PGP user will be having a pair of key rings. So before that, we need to understand what do you mean by public key ring and what do you mean by a private key ring. A public key ring means it will contain all the public keys of the other PGP users known to this user indexed by key ID. And then private key means the key ring contains both the public or private key pairs for this user indexed by the key ID, and it is encrypted key from a hashed passphrase. So the security of the private keys thus will be depending on the passphrase security. So now let us have a quick look of the demo. So for demo purpose, I have used the MailWeller software. So it is again a PGP demo. So first what you have to do is you have to go to the extension. So visit the Chrome store and then you have to search for the MailWeller. So you have to, since I have added it is showing remove from Chrome. Otherwise, it will be asking you add to Chrome. So what you have to do is you have to just say add to Chrome. So once you add it to Chrome, you'll be able to get this icon in your browser. Okay. So if you click on this, it will be showing you a dashboard. It will show you the keyring. It will also show you the file encryption and the security log. So now let us get into the dashboard. So a dashboard basically consists of various things like key management, encrypt, decrypt options. You also have something called manage the keys, encryption, authorized domains, and security logs. So we are not interested in that. So first we are interested only in the manage keys. So manage keys, I have added these two keys, so I'm able to see the keys. So if you want to add a key, what you have to do is you have to give. So for example, I want to add any user test. You can just add test. You have to give the email ID test@gmail.com. And here you have the option of choosing what algorithm you want to use. Either you can use RSA or elliptic curve. And also in RSA or elliptic curve, you can also choose how many bits you want to, the key size should be. And also you can set the expiration date for this. You can also set the passwords. So for example, I'm choosing RSA. Expiration date, for example, let me put it as 11. And password. So test at the rate of 1, 2, 3. So, okay. So if you just say generate, then the key generation will happen. So once this is done, so here you can see your new key was generated and added to your key ring. And in case if you want to have a backup, you can also save it as the backup. So for time being, I have already saved up my things, so I'm just giving skip. So once if you give skip, you can see that the username, email ID, there is a key ID that is being generated. So we have seen there will be a 64-bit key ID that will be generated. So here if you see, so it will give the status whether the key is valid, when it was created, expiry, password. This is a key ID, what algorithm, length. And here it is generating a PGP fingerprint. So here you can see there is a fingerprint and there is also the main key that is being generated. Okay, this is the key ID is nothing but your main key name. So either if you want to export, if you can also revoke, remove, etc. Okay, next. Let us see how to send any messages. So since I've added these mail IDs, so now let me show you quickly how to, what exactly MailWeller will do is, here actually this, since this is a free version, we can just only sign is possible. Okay, the original message will be encrypted. Once you set the password, you will be able to see the mail contents. Let us say, for example, I want to compose a mail. So I'm sending a mail to Savita06. Let me say, mm, important message. Okay. So you can type some message. Let me say, mm, secret code. Okay, 9876. If you want to add any attachments, you can add. So here you have only sign one option. So previously it had encrypt only, sign only, but here it is only sign only. Okay. So the email was sent successfully. So now let us go to the other side. So here I have a message. So this is how your PGP message will look like. So here you'll be able to see the message. Okay. So if you get back to the message, you'll be able to see only like this. Okay. So now let us see from here if I'm sending some message. I wanted to send a message to this ID, a reply message. Say I want to send some content and I'm sending a sent. Okay. So now I want reply message. So here you can see the mail value. So after that you will be able to see the message. So it might ask you for the password, but the password option here you can check. So here also you can, from this also you can send the message. Sapita. Do you want to encrypt the text? Say, secure communication. If you want to add any file, you can add and then you can encrypt. So this is how your message will look like. So this is your PGP message, begin PGP message. It is telling what version, command, and our message will be converted to a format like this. So this is the for the original message secure communication. So the message is actually converted into, this is the end of the PGP message. Okay. So likewise, you can send and receive the messages. Okay, so you can also export the key link. So for example, if only the intended destination needs to receive means we had the option of backing up this key rings, right? So if I want to send it to another person, I can send the key, and only if that person is having the key, they will be able to receive the message. So you can add more stuff using that. Okay, I hope you are having a better understanding of how the PGP is working. Thank you. You can also practice. Only thing is, like, whenever you are signing using the Gmail, it will ask you to authorize. Okay, so we have the Google APIs. It will ask you for the authorization. Once you give the authorization, you will be able to add the users, etc., in the keyring, and you can play around with the software. I think you are having a basic idea of how the PGP works. Thank you. So let us meet in the next interesting video.